482. It seems like there are only 3 digits in the barcode, but in reality, it's much more interesting. Because when we buy products made in Ukraine, everyone benefits. 482, made in Ukraine. Today we'll find out how much an elevator costs. Wow. How Ukrainian elevators are manufactured and tested.
Elevators don't fall. Let's just be clear, elevators don't fall, only in movies.
Strength margin challenge.
And in general, why should we buy Ukrainian-made products? After all, when we buy domestic products, almost 40% of the cost returns to the state and provides more opportunities to support our cities. By the way, did you know that the elevator is considered the safest mode of transportation? In fact, it's 20 times safer than an escalator. Meet Euroformat, the largest Ukrainian elevator manufacturer. 600 employees. The brands are Eurolift, Euroformat, and the luxury brand Molokoi. Almost 500 million hryvnias have been invested in the company.
If someone today offered me to go from scratch to elevators, understanding the gravity of this story, I would probably refuse. Roll steel, then process it, make precise holes in it, cut it with a powerful laser, a robust guillotine, and then we carefully bend it. Then it goes to welding, after welding to painting, after painting to assembly, and as a result we get, for example, an elevator cabin, shaft doors, a frame for the lining, a cabin frame, or a counterweight frame.
So in fact, an elevator is not just this cabin, right, that moves.
There are many parts. For us, an elevator set consists of 11 components, from which the elevator is assembled in the shaft. It's not yet an elevator. What leaves the factory is elevator equipment.
I see.
Only after the installation, when we assemble it, does it actually become an elevator. The cabin that the user sees is just one of the 11 elements.
This is a coordinate punching press. This is the future unfolded part. This drum holds 58 types of tools. At the output, we can get the unfolded version of the future part.
So this is where they make that steel with the holes, right? Or this curved one, that's it too.
The parts then go to the painting section. This is our own development. A semi-automatic powder coating section. How is it different from a fully automatic one? It's more flexible because an automatic line takes a very long time to set up. And you can only paint with one color. Changing colors in an automatic system can take up to half a day. Our system allows you to change paint in 30 minutes. The parts are transported to the washing area by the conveyor system. A clean surface is prepared. The very last zone in this comprehensive process applies what is precisely called a phosphating layer of specialized liquid, which then effectively serves as a crucial intermediary coating between the prepared metal surface and the future protective paint application. It acts as that so-called crucial binding link, which significantly increases the coefficient of adhesion, the firm and secure sticking of the paint to the metal surface. After this essential preparatory stage, the treated parts then smoothly enter the specialized drying chamber for a thorough and complete drying process. This is a so-called pass-through oven, through which the part moves along the traverses, and under the influence of temperature, it heats up and dries. The parts enter the spraying zone. Operators typically use a specialized spray gun to carefully apply the paint onto the surface using the highly efficient electrostatic method. What does this mean? In our gun, for example, there is a negative charge and the part has a positive charge, so they attract each other, right? That crackling sound, that's the electrostatics. Then the precisely manufactured parts meticulously go into the specialized curing oven where, at a consistently maintained temperature of exactly 200 degrees Celsius, the finely ground powder thoroughly melts, completely fuses, and subsequently permanently adheres to the prepared surface of the components. And then the guys remove the parts and send them onto the next workshops for assembly.
We chose to follow our own production path. That is, everything we produce at our facility is made according to our own blueprints.
In other words, this is our Ukrainian development. Both the blueprints and the overall design, everything entirely.
It's a completely Ukrainian development of ours. And when we launched, we were very proud of the fact that we didn't know whether this lift box would go to Obolon or to Warsaw. For us, quality was fundamentally the same everywhere. Whether it would just be installed somewhere near Zhytomyr in a garage for a 5-story building, or if it was going to Warsaw, to the metro, to the central passage in Warsaw. An interesting fact is that in Ukraine, the average weight of a person is 80 kilograms. That's why 5 people equal 400 kilograms. For example, in Poland, according to regulations, a person weighs 75 kilograms.
That's 5 kilograms less.
So 5 people there would be 380 kilograms.
Wow. By the way, music first appeared in elevators in 1920. That's how they calmed nervous passengers.
Do you have an elevator at home?
I have an elevator. Yes.
Euroformat, I have one too, by the way. Euroformat, they say that more than half of Kyiv rides Euroformat elevators. We started with our first contract for 6 elevators on Peremohi Avenue. Of course, we sold at a loss, and then little by little, step by step. Today we work with all the construction companies in Ukraine. The elevator is going down. You enter a business where there are such giants. Otis, Mogilev, Liftmash. Yes. And in a significant 16 years, you will undoubtedly win at least the entire Ukrainian market. Specifically, you will capture half of the bustling city of Kyiv and a substantial 20% of all of Ukraine and 9% of Poland. Where do you get the confidence? I'll be honest with you, it's not confidence, it's youth. Back then, it was just youth, it was fun. And we thought it was a cool project. And it's a technical project because most of us are techies. We don't know how to write poems. We don't know how to grow tomatoes. We understand how to do with technology what we do with it. We want this to be a young, progressive company with young, progressive production, but one that also has the experience of previous generations, because an elevator is a very complex thing. We're very proud. Before the war, our average age was up to 38 years old. We have a lot of young people, which is why many of them are now fighting. Many of ours went off from the very first day. For example, something that was unexpected for us was that those who volunteered in the first days of the war were from the sales department. Almost our entire sales department is fighting now. Apparently they were warriors by nature, and so the guys just stood up and simply went off. It's very hard right now without them. Ours consists of 2,500 parts. 2,500 parts, and they're different for every elevator. We don't have 2 identical elevators. Even if there are 2 identical elevators in a building, one with left opening doors, the other with right opening doors, there will still be 2,600 identical parts and 400 different ones, even in these 2 elevators. And is this steel Ukrainian? Yes, this is Ukrainian steel. For us, the waviness of the metal sheet itself is very important, because when we make the shaft doors, for example, or the elevator cabin, it uses a seamless sheet 2.5 meters long. If it has even the slightest waviness, meaning it's not perfectly flat, then when the doors close, we get these streaks that get scratched, like, what was that? Like smudges. That was low quality metal. This is our pride, the test tower. Yes, this is a laboratory for studying new designs. The test tower consists of 2 shafts, so we can simultaneously test 2 different mechanisms or some elevator components. We are constantly trying to modify the design in order to meet the world standard. We are very proud because this is our own development. It is the only one of its kind in Ukraine. It's the largest even in Eastern Europe. Ours is 40 meters tall. This allows us to test elevators at speeds of up to 4 meters per second. That is, in Ukraine today, probably the fastest elevator is 2.5 meters per second, maybe 3. The tower, up to 4. And what are elevators tested for? For structural solutions, technological solutions, safety systems, and comfort systems. It's a comprehensive process. So, like new buttons, for example, new buttons, or buttons working in tandem, and how the button will function when someone presses it on the first floor and it controls 2 elevators. And if someone presses the button on the 7th floor, which also controls 2 elevators, the one that arrives faster will come. If you have 2 or 3 elevators and only 1 button, and you need the freight elevator to move a piano, you have to press the button twice. Will you wait for the freight elevator? If you just press it once, the nearest one will come. This needs to be checked. Yes, you need to run 100 tests. You might need to place the cabin somewhere, distribute them in a certain way so that it works. That's exactly why we need this testing process. This is just one example out of a million. Here, we are testing the operation of the winches and control stations. This is the control station, which generates all the commands and in case of malfunctions or stops, records the information and notifies the technician when they arrive. They don't need to walk around searching for something. It collects information from everywhere. Where, on which floor, in which unit, what needs to be checked. I was really surprised that this part at the top is so small. This motor is small and the wheel is tiny too. I always thought there was a big wheel in the shaft. That's how it used to be. But now, technology, this is an Italian winch. It's the Mercedes of winches on the market. We use them, it's already smart. It already has a control board. It's very, very quiet, completely. We can connect to it and see how many winch hours it has worked. We're now implementing preventive maintenance. There's no need to wait for the winch to break down or burn out. We receive analytics about the winches installed all over Ukraine, Poland, it doesn't matter where, via Wi-Fi or GSM signal. And now we're doing something called preventive maintenance. That is, we understand that it's going to burn out in a week. Go add some oil. We have a very old fleet of elevators, incredibly old. We have 68,000 elevators. They've been in service for 25 years. 68,000 elevators in Ukraine, and the total fleet is 90,000. Wow, that's more than half, out of 80%. 25 years. Out of 68,000 elevators, 25,000 have been in service for over 40 years, but they're only supposed to last 25. So we need to replace the elevators and replace, in general, what does elevator safety mean? How does it work? Elevators don't fall? Let's just clarify, elevators only fall in movies. The main safety issue is that if a safety mechanism fails, the cabin can move with the doors open. That's the scariest part, because for someone walking by, it could be like a guillotine. That's dangerous. The mechanical components, the safety mechanisms, we buy them from Spain. The company that's been making them for over 15 years. They're the Mercedes of the safety market. We don't spare any expense on this. We believe that we can assemble everything here in Ukraine. Unfortunately, that's not the case today. Currently, we manufacture 60 to 65% of the components in Ukraine at our factory, and the rest we purchase, including safety mechanisms and cables, from abroad. We don't have cables produced in Ukraine. A 1,000 kilogram elevator is supported by 8 cables. It's enough for it to operate with just 2. But here there are 8. So the safety margin is enormous. This is one of the safety systems. There are several of them. Since the start of the full-scale war, we've had a lot of imported manufacturers, Turkish, Chinese, who have flooded the Ukrainian market. 80 manufacturers from Turkey, not 8 elevators, but 80 manufacturers crossed the border into Ukraine last year. The scariest part is that the company sold 4 elevators. The Turkish company bought them in Turkey and sold 4 elevators. They don't provide maintenance. They don't have spare parts. They have nothing. They just offer a low price and don't comply with regulations. They installed the elevators and then closed the company. What will happen to these elevators in 4 years when a button simply breaks, the lights go out, or some circuit board burns out? Where can you get it? There isn't a week that goes by without us getting a call from some developer in some Ukrainian city. Guys, please come and take a look. Well, I bought it, but I don't know what to do. Well, the elevator doesn't work. So what about your guys? And now she doesn't even pick up the phone anymore. We have a production facility and we don't fit in here at all. 20,000 square meters of Ukrainian manufacturing. We've invested money here, part of which is borrowed. And that's why the Made in Ukraine program that has been launched today is incredibly important for this industry. Because when cashback is introduced to return 25% to the developer, if they buy a Ukrainian-made elevator, it could simply save this entire sector. When a developer has to buy something cheaper, I understand that too, but not at the expense of safety, not at the expense of elevator maintenance for 25 years. So what do you do with it afterwards? In other words, we're heading in the wrong direction. And this program will help us, as Ukrainian manufacturers, to defend the rights of Ukrainian producers to manufacture high-quality elevators in Ukraine, and for the developer, it won't be financially, so expensive. How much does an elevator cost approximately? For a 9-story building, a 400-kilogram standard elevator costs about 600,000 hryvnias, plus installation, probably 200,000, so around 800,000. An elevator that goes straight up. And if we're talking about a developer, that's 2 to 4 stories. That's a 1,000 kilogram elevator or a 630 kilogram one. 3 elevators in a tower, 4 in a tower. That's 12 elevators, each costing 2 million or 1.5 million. So that's a 30 million contract including installation. Last year we installed 400 elevators in total. The factory can produce 3,600 per year and can increase that further. There is no such market in Ukraine. We need to replace the elevators in Ukraine that have been in service for 25 years. That's 68,000. We can do 3,600 per year over 16 years. The future, plus defending Ukraine. Now the blackout problem has returned, right? If I'm taking the elevator, well, in general, there's this feeling like they might turn off the power any moment, so maybe I shouldn't even take the elevator now. Maybe there could be a system where if the power goes out, the elevator doesn't stop immediately and at least takes you, first, it should get to the nearest floor, and second, it needs to open the doors. That also requires electricity. Yes, it's possible, of course. That is, there is such a thing, a battery pack. It is installed on the elevator. You can't install it on every elevator, but you can on most of them. A battery is installed, it brings the elevator to the nearest stop and opens the doors. So for example, the homeowners association could do this. This needs to be ordered additionally. This morning, my friend called me, literally this morning, with the same question. The guys have already gone to take a look. This issue is right on the surface, it's obvious. So if there's no diesel generator in the building itself, meaning you can't use the elevators during a blackout, then just getting you up to your floor, that's, well, it's a clear cost, 20 to 50,000 hryvnias. Our goal isn't really to grow during the war. Our task is to help the armed forces of Ukraine. Our task is first and foremost to survive. So if we simply survive during the war, then after victory, we'll know how to rebuild the country for the next 16 years, the next cycle. What is Ukraine's strength? It's in the people, the guys who went to defend us, the guys who work like crazy, supporting the armed forces of Ukraine. Their strength is in the people. Yes, that's true. Ukrainians are strength. They pursue their goals, no matter the obstacles. This is a land of strong people. And it's amazing that even during the war, so much has been accomplished in Ukraine